it's me again. This footage is from March 1st, and I'm only just getting around to recording the voiceover on March 28th. Oh boy. My setup is basically the same as last month's, so I suppose I'll just catch you up on what's happened in the days and weeks following the filming of this setup. It was a very busy month where I took 2 trips, and I'm recording this voiceover off the heels of my return. I got to take a trip home for a week or so, where I spent a good time catching up with friends and family. On that trip, I also got my second earlobe piercing, and I started climbing. My ears are still bleeding a little after 1 month, but I think they'll be fully healed by the end of April. Climbing has been fun. I haven't been to the gym in years, and I haven't been to the gym regularly ever. It's been about 3 or 4 weeks of me going to the gym at least twice a week, so that's been good at least. I tried appending my climbing time after a fitness class my university offers to make my schedule a little more regular and add some accountability for actually making it to the gym on time. I signed up for 6:45 a.m. yoga right as the class was ending around finals week. Classes aren't the same between terms, so in this new term I signed up for a more manageable half-hour Pilates class at 9:30. As for my second trip, I went to Seattle. We were there for 5 days, but we only had rain 3 of those days, and for the most part, it wasn't raining hard enough to bother with my jacket hood, much less the umbrellas we packed. Those stayed in our hotel room the entire time. The weather was chilly at around 50 Fahrenheit, or 10 Celsius, but that wasn't too bad with jeans and a couple of layers. It felt pretty cold anytime I stepped outside, but I would warm up pretty quickly after I got walking. Public transit is great there, at least compared to where I live. There's a consolidated payment system, an app for every transportation service I needed that trip, and I didn't have to stress about bus arrival times because the bus frequency was so high. On the first day, we arrived at SeaTac in the afternoon and spent the rest of the day around Pike Place's Market, Belltown, and the Pacific Mall in downtown. On the second day, we woke up early to walk along the Olympic Sculpture Park before heading to the Chihuly Garden and Glass. That was really cool. Then we waited in line for the Space Needle and grabbed lunch near the border of Uptown and Queen Anne's. We visited a grocery store nearby and then headed to the Museum of Modern Art. My favorite exhibit there was probably on the work done by Laika Studios. Kubo and the Two Strings is my favorite movie of theirs. We finished off the day with dinner near Capitol Hill, and we probably swung by another grocery store while we were there. I forget where exactly all of the grocery stores we visited were, but they totaled to at least 5 different grocery stores. On the third day, we went to UW to see the cherry blossoms. The sun was out, the weather was perfect, and understandably, it was filled with people. We walked along the Ave, stopped by bookstores, went to the Burke Museum on campus, saw the Faces by the Ugly Mug coffee shop, and then we headed off to Fremont. In Fremont, we went to Dick's and Young Tea, which is a bubble tea shop with tea so good I only ordered hot tea. Also in Fremont, we visited Archie McPhee. Is just a store with kind of weird, fun, cool stuff. We visited the Sock Monster next door, which also has cool socks. Book Larder, a bookstore dedicated to cookbooks, and there we picked up a book on ways to use tinned fish. It's one of my household's most recent obsessions. The last thing we did in Fremont was see the Fremont Troll. After that, we went to Ballard to check out Mock's Boarding House, which is a local game store with a restaurant attached to it, and another grocery store. On the fourth day, we took it a little easier because our feet and bodies were sore. We kept our travels to downtown. This is when we went to Chinatown, next to the International District, and we went to Kinokuniya, Uwajimaya, and the Fuji Bakery. Kinokuniya is a bookstore, I guess is the only way I'll describe it. They're Japanese. I found Pottering Cat stamps there. They're hard for me to get my hands on because getting the stamps I want when they're in stock at the same time and finding enough things to add to my cart from an online retailer to meet their shipping minimum, that gets to be a tricky task. I ended up getting 3 Pottering Cat stamps and a keychain. The keychain is going in my A5 rings, and that setup is hopefully going to be in next month's video. Anyways, on the last day of our Seattle trip, we explored the areas of downtown and Pike Place that we missed on the first day until it was time to catch our flight home. Here I'm filling out a daily log for the day, and it's in the format of a to-do list and events list. However, later this month, I'd experiment with time blocking again. Time blocking is when you look at your day as a set of hours, kind of how you would in a digital calendar, and literally block off chunks of time to assign to tasks and events. I experimented with this over a few weeks, and it's gone much better than the first time I tried to do it several years ago. When I last tried time blocking in my first year of grad school, I was in a bad headspace and easily dysregulated. I'd go through the effort of organizing my schedule, but as soon as something out of my control would change my plans, or if something upsetting happened, I would get dysregulated and my entire schedule would no longer be effective. I switched from that vertical weekly planner, it was a Jibun Techo, to the bullet journal method after that, and here we are today. Not exactly. I tried out the Hobonichi Weeks and Cousin first, but eventually we ended up here. That being said, remember that roll of our washi tape at the beginning of this video? I'm almost done with it. Maybe 2/3 done with it after less than a month. That'd quite literally be one roll of tape in a month. Recording this at the end of March means that I know that I'm at the end of this insert for this refillable notebook. And instead of migrating and setting up a fresh insert in April, I'm going to try setting up my bullet journal in a Rings notebook. This way, I can print out inserts with hourly markers. We'll see how that goes. Until next time. Hi everyone, it's the next day, or the next evening, I should say. After eyeing it for a few months, I finally ordered the brass Kakimori nib and their wooden holder. I ordered it from Yoseka Stationery. They're quickly becoming my favorite stationery store. as you can see, I'm still getting the hang of filming myself doing things, as a quarter to a third of this notebook isn't even on screen. I'm back filling some pages from February in my Hobonichi weeks with doodles. I tried to do this before with a glass dip pen that I have, but the lack of line variation and the sharpness of the glass made drawing feel kind of strange or tricky to me. This nib feels a little closer to some cross between a paintbrush and a pencil in kind of a strange sense. But spoiler alert, I've been using this nib whenever I can. After this drawing session, I put on a K-drama and just practiced my cursive with this nib the entire time. I don't know what flowers I'm drawing, and I tried to not let it get to me. I just wanted to play around, warm up my hand, and put some ink on paper. When I try to make art, I often get in my own head to the point where fixating on accuracy gets in the way of me actually making anything. Now that I'm back from traveling, I'm looking forward to backfilling the rest of my pages with more art. On an unrelated note, in my last or first video, I filmed a short setup of a study schedule to prepare for job interviews. But shortly after I published that video, I started floating the idea of postponing my graduation to later this year. rather than trying to push for June. The job market has changed a little in the last few months, maybe several months, and my area of expertise is not as in demand as it once was. There are some adjacent areas I can pivot to in some sense that are more attractive to employers, and I've decided that after I wrap up my conference obligations in April, I'll try to start one last project before I start, hardcore job hunting and interview studying. This project would be in one of those more in-demand areas of research that I can apply my particular expertise to, and hopefully that will help me get some interviews. I'll have to talk to my advisor about what this means for my defense schedule, though. I basically spent March in a weird limbo space where I was unwilling to commit to either timeline, and the lack of a concrete decision gave me nothing but stress. Now that I have decided for myself that I'm going to take things slower, I feel a lot less pressure. I actually feel a little mental freedom to ease up and make more art, watch more shows, read more books, and enjoy half an hour with a cup of tea in the morning, watching my cats bathe in the mid-morning sun. I'll see you next month. Bye.